Now we're recording. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining. I'm happy to have you here. I'm going to go through a couple slides that I created just for some talking points. And you guys will have this so you can go back and look over it. And if you have any questions as I'm going through anything, just pop in. And if someone's video isn't on, you can pop in and ask questions in the chat if you want, and I'll get to those too. And we'll roll from there. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, so, and I'm gonna have to pop off and check the waiting room here every once in a while because I can't see if anybody's stuck in the waiting room. So we're mainly going over navigating shift work, whether it's midnights. I mean, I put it out as like midnights and 24 since those are the more challenging shifts. But this applies to day shift too, and pretty much any sort of shift work. So can everybody see my screen okay? Clear enough, hopefully. Okay, cool. All right. There we go. Okay. So with this, the main focus is controlling the controllables. You're really just trying to do the best you can with what you have. Just remember, it's never black and white or pass fail. We're first responders, so curveballs come our way all the time. And you just got to do the best with what you have. So that being said, these are just guidelines. Obviously, nothing is set in stone when we're talking about some of these recommendations here. But the first thing that comes to mind is time management. So with that being said, I know a lot of people are often like, my schedule's all over the place. Like I can't figure out what to do when. It starts with consistency. Consistency is your friend. So whether you have 24s, 48s, you're on midnights, flip-flopping shifts, the best thing I can recommend is trying to be as consistent as possible. Ideally with the midnight shift, you want to try to keep your sleep and wake times consistent. So if you can, you're going to want to stay on that same schedule on your off days. Obviously, if you have kids and other commitments, that's not likely, right? So my next best recommendation for that would be trying to keep each day of the week consistent with that day each week. It's not really a great way to put it, but what I mean by that is make all of your Mondays look the same. Make all of your Tuesdays look the same throughout the week as much as possible. So that way you are planning ahead of, say you work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you flip Thursday trying to go back to days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then you have to flip again. So try to keep your weeks looking the same as much as possible, because that's going to help you with time management, with work schedules, with other commitments, trying to fit everything in that needs to be in your days and your weeks. So going back to that, you're trying to get roughly 7 hours of sleep each night. I know that's not ideal for everybody, but as much as you can, trying to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, keeping consistent sleep and wake times as much as possible. Along with that, try to time block. Make sure you're putting first things first. If it's me, I'm a pen and paper person. I will sit down and write out hour by hour what needs to happen in a day sometimes, especially when things are overwhelmed. That way you can kind of see where you have gaps in your day, where you can program intentional rest, or if you need to program something else in there, like you're cooking, your meal prep, your workouts, anything like that, you can see where those empty time slots are and you can try to maximize those for what you need. Something that should be in there every week would be at least one day for groceries, at least one day or time for meal prep. It doesn't have to take a whole day. I mean, if you're going to do it all in one day, you can probably do groceries and your meal prep within a couple hours, like 3-4 hours at most, depending on what you got going on. And then for the purposes of goofy shifts, and even whether you're working evenings or midnights, or maybe just like a 24, your quote unquote day starts from when you wake up, from when you go to bed. Because a lot of people get confused, especially when it comes to nutrition, how to kind of work that of how much do I eat in one day? Like my day starts in one day and then you cross midnight and it goes to the next day. So that gets confusing. So if you think of it of the time you wake up and the time you go to bed, regardless of what hour that is on the clock, then it helps you create that day. And let me make sure I don't have anybody left in my waiting room real quick. I think we're good. Okay, any questions with any of that so far? No? All right, now I gotta go back and find my slideshow that I just lost. There we go. Okay. This is like a broad brush stroke thing since we're not necessarily getting into the weeds with foods specifically, but just basically speaking, you want to eat whole foods. So that means anything naturally occurring in nature, you're going to want to follow the 80-20 rule, meaning 80% of the time you're cooking at home, 20% of the time you're eating out or something other than cooking at home. A good tip when you're grocery shopping is to shop the perimeter of the grocery store, being the interior perimeter, because a lot of times that's always your meat and produce, your dairy, eggs, things like that. Minus obviously the bakery is usually on the outside too, but obviously that's going to be where most of your whole foods are going to be. If you're going through the aisles and buying packaged items, look at the ingredients on the back of the box, because that's going to want to be where your info is as far as your ingredients versus the nutrition facts. Nutrition facts are important too, but you want to look at the ingredients to make sure you have about 5 ingredients or less roughly, because if it gets to be more than that, then typically that food is more highly processed. A good example of that is like pasta sauce. It should just be like tomatoes, olive oil, and maybe like some preservatives to have some shelf life. But you look at those, you get like the added sugar, the added oils, things like that. So those are just a good thing to look at there. So once you've been to the grocery store, you're ready to cook, you're ready to build your plate. This is the best guide that I give literally everybody I talk to, I coach, as far as building what I call a balanced plate. They have this labeled as an easy training plate. To me, it's a balanced plate because this is what you want to shoot for 3 meals per day. You're going to have about a quarter of the plate being your protein, about half the plate being your vegetables, and about the other quarter of the plate being your starchy carbs. The fats get sprinkled in there, but typically you'll get enough fats from protein and some other additives in there, like some cheese or something like that. So when I say balanced plate, this is what I mean. This is what you're wanting to shoot for. Getting in 3 meals per day, that's super important. Everybody needs 3 meals per day at a minimum. Otherwise, you're probably not getting enough calories in. And then adding in some snacks on top of that too throughout the day. So getting into meal prep, this is the simplest way that I can break it down. Splitting it up, if you go back to that balanced plate template, it's breaking down between carbohydrates, protein, and then your vegetables. So that's the way I do that with this. So you're cooking your food. For one, pick your protein. It can be chicken, beef, turkey, pretty much any protein you want to eat. On the leaner side, fish is another good one. My go-to is either using a crock pot or an instant pot and throwing chicken in there, or you could do beef because you can end up with a big amount of shredded chicken or shredded beef, and you can use that throughout the week. The main thing there is obviously cook in bulk. Doesn't have to be huge. It's just enough to get you through the week. And also have leftovers. It's good with kids, families too. I mean, it doesn't have to be just for you. That way you have a bunch of portions to pick and pull from for the week. So you got your protein, you can cook 1 or 2. Next is picking your carbohydrates. You can also pick 1 or 2 there. Rice, potatoes, and pasta are the main 3. Those are typically pretty easy to cook. The rice and the pasta, you throw in the pot, you boil it, it's done for the week. Potatoes, you can soft boil to where they're a little bit soft for you. So that way when you throw them in the microwave, or you can brown them up again for like some breakfast potatoes, the cook time is greatly reduced on that. From there, you're going to pick your veggies. Veggies, you don't need to get into the weeds on fresh, frozen, or canned. Fresh obviously is fantastic, but it takes a lot more prep and it has less shelf life. So ideally what I'm using throughout the week is either frozen or canned vegetables, because typically if you do a canned or a frozen veggie, you take it out, you heat it up, it's good to go. My favorite thing there are the Birds Eye steamer veggies. If you haven't seen those in the frozen food section, they're fantastic. They are getting a little high, being a little bit more expensive lately, but they are, I mean, they're like $4 or $5 a bag. But they're great, quick and easy to throw in with your protein. So if you have like a bag of like their veggie noodles and you have your chicken, you throw them together in a lunchbox and you have your meal for lunch for the day. Super easy. If you're not doing the steamer veggies, you can go with a sauce. So that way, say you've got your chicken, you've got your potatoes, and I don't know, say you do like a stir fry veggie or something like that. You can throw some sauce on top of it to add some flavor to it. So what you're eating doesn't have to be super plain. Some good examples there, like some teriyaki salsa, like a Greek yogurt based dressing, barbecue sauce, or you can do like avocado or guacamole. Any questions with any of that? No? All right, we'll keep going. With the meal prep, like I said before, cook to have leftovers because then you have more to pick and pull from for the week. It also helps you to mix and match a little bit better. So that way you're not eating the same meal over and over again, which gets super boring. Some good examples that I like to throw out are a burrito bowl. So you can have your carb, maybe you could do like a rice base. You could do chicken with that. And then you can top it with anything and everything. You can do corn, beans, salsa, guac, cheese, load it up with whatever you enjoy, because that's a super balanced meal as far as having your protein source, your carbohydrate source, and then adding those veggies on top. And salsa is basically all vegetables. So you throw salt on top of it and you got your vegetable serving for the day. Same thing with the Asian bowl. You have your carbohydrate base, so that could be rice or pasta. You throw on chicken or beef or whatever your protein is, and then you can top it with like a teriyaki sauce and you have like an Asian bowl that you can mix and match with for the week. Different ways to mix that up. I mean, obviously burritos are forever customizable. You can do tacos, burritos. You could do a salad with it. Same thing with the Asian bowl. You could either do the rice base or like a noodle base. Like the ramen cakes are fantastic for that. And then, like I mentioned before, if you want to go to the basics and you don't have much left, you've got your chicken or your protein and then the steamer veggies that you can pack your chicken, throw it in your lunchbox. You grab whatever your frozen veggies are out of the freezer, throw it in your lunchbox, and you heat them up together at work, and you have your meal. It's usually typically high protein when you do that, and it's pretty filling for a while too. So those are quick and easy ways to make sure you have that balanced plate. It's quick and easy to cook. It's not messy when you pack it, and it's quick and easy to eat at work. For breakfast is a little different, obviously, because we have less types of foods that we want to eat or like to eat for breakfast. So I see something in the chat. Ramen what? So gosh, I can't remember what they're like. Lotus cakes might be. I can look them up on the internet and send it to you later. But they're called ramen cakes and they're like freeze dried. So basically all you have to do is throw them in hot water and they like loosen up. But it's much better than actually buying like your typical like 99-cent ramen bowls because it's just the noodles. So I can look those up for you though, Brittany. Going on with the breakfast meal prep. Big thing with breakfast is making sure you're getting in your protein early on in the day. That's going to set you up for success within the day. It's going to kick those cravings where you're not craving sugar or caffeine mid-morning, and it's going to help you keep your energy levels high. Keep in mind when I say breakfast, I just mean like your first meal of the day. So if you're going into a midnight shift, obviously you get up in the afternoon, like whatever first meal you eat, that's considered your breakfast. So some great ideas there. Again, still trying to stick with that balanced plate template. You're going to try to find your protein source. So that can be eggs, it can be Greek yogurt. A great thing is like a Greek yogurt parfait in the morning with some fruit and granola. You could throw eggs on some sweet potato. If you've seen a lot of my posts, I love to do that because it's really easy and fast to do because the sweet potato takes 5 minutes to cook and your eggs are usually done in 5 minutes. Adding in protein, if you want to use like a protein powder supplement, that's a great thing to throw in with either some oatmeal or a protein shake. Or you can do like, you can mix coffee and protein powder in the morning, which is really good to at least get you in something that's quick and easy. Overnight oats are great if you do like Greek yogurt, protein powder, or oats. You can add in fruit, whatever you want to put in there. My favorite thing to do are like the overnight egg cupcakes, which basically if you take a cupcake tin and crack an egg in each one of them, you can line the tin with like some lunch meat, like some turkey or ham, so that it creates like that cupcake liner, and crack your egg in it. And then you bake it until it's done, like 350 for, I don't know, like 10 or 15 minutes. And then they refrigerate well and you can heat them up in the morning really quick too. So that's a great idea. And then to round it out, always make sure you have snacks with you on shift. That's a huge thing because obviously it's so easy to get stuck on a call, get stuck running call to call, and you don't have food. So, other options available if I don't like oats or eggs. I'll get to that in a second. So snacks, beef jerky, Greek yogurt, protein bars, almonds, crackers, string cheese, applesauce, raw fruit, veggies, tuna. A lot of those are fantastic because they are non-perishable. They'll at least last in your car or in your lunchbox for a shift or two. Maybe not the raw fruit and veggies, but the rest of them will pretty well. That way you can grab it when you need it. If you don't like eggs or oats, I would say probably go the yogurt route, Greek yogurt, or you could try to do like the protein shake route, coffee and protein powder, or you could do a giant smoothie in the morning with milk or Greek yogurt, protein powder, fruit, veggies, basically whatever you like, you can throw that in there. You can always message me later. I can come up with some more ideas there. But those would probably, granted, you don't always have to eat breakfast food for breakfast. You can eat whatever you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be breakfast food. But that would probably be my first idea offhand for that. Let me double check again. We don't have anybody else popping in here. Nope. All good. Okay. Man. There we go. Okay. So planning out your day. If you're working an 8, 10, or 12-hour shift, like I said before, you want to make sure you get in 3 meals per day plus snacks, with that first meal of the day being breakfast. You want to shoot for 30 grams or more of protein there. Pack your lunch and snacks. So you'll start with your first meal of the day, hopefully before you go into shift. You'll pack 1 meal and snacks with you for lunch for on shift. And then for dinner is where it varies for some people, just depending on what shift you're on. I would say you can split it up and have a snack at the end of shift, or if you're okay with coming home and eating dinner when you get off a shift, because typically you're eating dinner and going to bed, you can. The only thing I caution with that is if you eat a big meal before you go to sleep, when your body's digesting, it might keep you from falling asleep. But that's really the only concern there. It's not big. There's no big deal, or like you can break the myth that if you're eating before bed, it's bad, because it's really not. But I would say either have like a small snack with you to break that dinner up into like 2 small meals if you want, or have like a small meal before dinner. What I've done in the past, literally, you get home, you're tired and shit, and you just want to go to bed, like PB&J, turkey and cheese roll up, something super simple, just to get some food in your stomach and go to bed. It doesn't have to be crazy elaborate either. If you're on the fire and EMS side, you're working 24s or 48s. 24 should be pretty similar as far as still trying to keep those 3 meals and snacks with you all day. I would say if you're up in the middle of the night on a call out or something, you get hungry, that would be a great time for a snack. Or maybe you try to spread out your meals. Instead of like 3 meals and snacks, you do like 6 small meals, or just like spreading your stuff out throughout the day if you need that through that full 24-hour shift. 48s, again, it's going to be the same structure, but ideally you're going to want to pack and bring more food with you that's going to last you for those 2 full days, or have a way where you can cook while you're out at the station or wherever you hang out at during the day. Most firehouses will have kitchens. That way you can at least have some food in the fridge or something that you can cook on shift. But it just takes more planning ahead if you know you're going to be there for 48 hours and working it that way. For timing, and I know I'm going to get a lot of eye rolls from this because I know it's tough to do. I highly recommend scheduling a window for your major meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Because again, you're trying to be as consistent as you can. Granted, I know our jobs are dictated by call load and call volume, and a lot of times this may not happen, but if you can plan ahead, that way you can at least try to stick to a schedule as much as possible, instead of going into work and just being like, well, I hope I get to eat tonight. So for example, I'm typically on an evening shift schedule. I will eat or my breakfast around like 11, going to work about noon. I usually try to eat lunch halfway through the shift for about like 5 or 6 o'clock. And then at the end of the day, it's kind of just like if I'm hungry or not, if I'm going to do that snack before I get off at the end of shift and eat at home, right? It's kind of just based off how I feel. But I know I want to try to eat in the middle of the shift. So like 5 or 6 o'clock is what I always try to at least find some downtime, or if I can skirt off and go eat real quick, or at least like heat it up and bring it back to my car with me, then at least I have it there. I know that's not always going to be the case because it's obviously dictated by calls, but it keeps you close enough to a schedule where maybe if you see things are getting busy, you go eat early, or as soon as you clear a call, you try to go run and eat after that if it's getting late, type of thing. But with that being said, that's why it's important to always keep snacks with you, so you don't get to the point where you're just like absolutely starving. Because obviously that's never a good day when that happens, because you hit the drive-through and then you feel like crap after because you just gorge yourself with food. So keeping some granola bars, beef jerky, tuna, nuts, crackers, protein bars with you, that's going to help you at least take the edge off. And it gives you something quick, if you're stuck on a call, to go run to your car, go run to your lunchbox, wherever it's at, to try to grab something and eat if you can. And then this goes without saying, always have water and electrolytes with you, to keep you hydrated throughout the day. All right. So obviously shit goes sideways, and that's life and that's work. So if you have to hit up a gas station or fast food, that's fine. Like I said, you're controlling what you can, but things aren't black and white. It's not pass fail. So if you have to hit a gas station or fast food, first thing should be prioritize protein. So if you walk into a gas station, maybe try to get some of that beef jerky or get a protein shake or protein bar. The Fairlife shakes are fantastic, to grab and go. Or if they have like a fruit, nut, and cracker tray, like that's a great to go to also, because there's a good balance of protein, carbs, and fats in those. But the best you can do is just be mindful. So that's why you're trying to pick protein over grabbing like the potato chips and pop. With fast food, you're still trying to stick to that balanced plate as much as you can, and just staying away from the highly processed foods and snacks. Because if you go in, you get your donut or your chips and your pop, that's all carbs and sugar. So it's going to spike your energy. And then a couple hours later, you're going to crash. And that's going to give you craving more of that carbs and sugar and caffeine. And that's kind of how the cycle begins, as far as you having the up and down and then eventually packing on the pounds. The last thing, well, not the last thing, but there is some discipline. Dun dun dun. Because I know it's pretty common, and I've experienced this too. You'll have coworkers that want to go out and eat, and be together on shift, and that's fantastic. And I encourage that. That helps with morale. It helps with relationships. It's a good thing to do. So that's when you have to decide where you're at in the week of, well, I haven't eaten out this week, so they want to go eat. That's okay. Like I'll leave my meal in the fridge for tomorrow. And you go out and you eat and you be mindful, and you enjoy your company. If it's something that happens every day, that's something that needs to be considered. A lot of times what we would do is if we brought our own food, we would just say, hey, meet at the station at whatever time. And everybody would bring their food, whether they brought it from home or they went to go grab fast food, and they would bring it in the squad room and we would all eat together. So that's a great way to try to stick to what you brought and still be able to eat with coworkers. Same thing with not wanting to eat what you packed. I mean, I've been there too. You get there and you're like, ugh, this doesn't sound great today. That's fine. Go out and eat. Just don't make it a daily thing. Prioritize your protein. Try to hit up better places for you to eat, like a Subway or a Qdoba or a Chipotle, things like that, where you can still customize your meal and enjoy it. And then there's the days where you get stuck on a call, you're running your ass off and eating nothing. So again, that's where having snacks with you is the best thing you can do to at least help with that, so you're not stuck on a call and you're starving. So again, there is a little bit of discipline to it, but remember, it's not pass fail. But I will say this is that once you get into the routine of cooking at home, bringing your food, following that 80-20 rule, once you feel the benefits of improving your habits around food and how it makes you feel and how much better you're feeling overall, it's going to be much easier not to go back down that other path. Because you'll recognize once you eat that fast food again, you'll probably feel like shit, after you've been eating well for a while. So there is that small reminder from time to time, but that also helps with discipline and improving those lifestyle habits. Things to remember and prioritize in this order. You have to prioritize your sleep and your time management. If you don't have sleep, it's really hard to function as far as choosing foods, your food quality, your meal prep. You're going to want to reach for the carbs and the higher sugar foods because you're tired. So sleep is priority number one. Priority number two would be obviously trying to stick to that schedule and that time management to make sure everything stays in line the way you want it to. From there, it goes from your food quality and your overall food choices, meal prep, and then being mindful when you eat out. And then the last thing I'll throw in here, I created this visual for the pyramid of health, and it kind of prioritizes the steps of how you work through what and when. So again, it highlights the sleep at the bottom being the most important thing. We didn't really touch on self-care today, and that can be another training in itself, but obviously making sure you're practicing self-care to take care of your mental health, doing the things that fill your cup, things like that, so that you can decompress, de-stress when you need to. Nutrition being the third tier there, because if you don't have sleep or that self-care, you get to nutrition, you're like, fuck it. It's really hard to make good choices when you don't have that foundation of making yourself feel good as far as the sleep and the self-care. And then obviously the exercise being the top part of that. We want to work in movement during the day. But like I said, you want to work through that checklist of making sure you have your sleep, your self-care, your nutrition, and then at the very top, focusing on exercise at the end of the day too. So I believe that is it. I feel like I just rambled. I hope that was helpful. Do you guys have any questions? I can only see Darcel. I know I've got a couple other, they're just not, we still got two others. Brittany or Clarissa, if you guys have any questions, you want to pop off mute or you can put them in the chat either way. I know Clarissa's watching her kiddos at baseball right now. It shows she's multitasking. So, Darcel, any questions?
I missed what options you offered besides eggs and oats.
So I would do a Greek yogurt parfait or probably like a breakfast smoothie, where you could find some protein powder, Greek yogurt, milk, like whatever you enjoy as far as those go, and then throw in some fruit, nuts, vegetables, pretty much anything you enjoy in a smoothie. Or you could do just like coffee and protein powder for kind of like a breakfast coffee protein type thing. Does that help?
Yes, that helped.
Okay, cool. I can always brainstorm more, but those are the ones that come to mind. Any recipes? Okay. As far as addressing the recipes, let me share my screen again here 1 second. So I share meal prep stuff throughout the week within the group, but my favorite resource is this, and it's called Skinny Taste. So on here, you can search by recipes, you can search by certain diet if you want something specific that's like dairy, gluten-free, high protein is a good resource, obviously. Any type of diet, any type of course. She's got her cookbooks, and then there used to be a way, I think, like if you want to search by like cooking methods. So yeah, if you want like crock pot, it'll pull up a bunch of different crock pot recipes. So this is my best resource that I give to people as far as like if you're looking for like a composed meal to throw together, there's a lot of great stuff on here. So I would start digging through that if you're looking for specific recipes. But typically, I like to keep things separate, like I showed, as far as like separate your like protein, carbs, and veggies, and just mix matching that way. But there's a lot of times I'll make like enchiladas and throw that all together, or like maybe like a jambalaya, something like that. Sometimes I'll make the fully composed meals like that too. So either way works, but that Skinny Taste is a great resource there. And then let me get back to Darcel. Staying focused. What I would say with that is you just have to take the first step, because habits build on themselves. So say your first small goal is like, I'm going to get 7 hours of sleep per night, and start doing that. And then once that becomes consistent, you can say, okay, now I'm going to start, I don't know, making sure you have protein in each meal. You can start making those small goals for yourself and then just adding something over time. So maybe at the beginning of each week, you give yourself a small goal, and then you track that goal throughout the week until you're consistent with it. And then if you feel good, you feel confident, you're ready for something new, you tack on that next goal the following week. So that way it's more of like you're implementing lifestyle changes and habits that will stick with you. My best example, and it's kind of juvenile, is brushing your teeth. Like as a kiddo, you don't want to do it. You usually fight it, and your parents make you brush your teeth. But you do it because they tell you to. Eventually, you realize how important it is to brush your teeth and what the health benefits of it are. And so then eventually you realize, well, this is something I need to do. But also it becomes habit, right? Because you get up, you get in the routine of doing it first thing in the morning or whenever you brush your teeth. And then you don't even think about it. You just get up and do it, right? Over time. So it's the same shift with nutrition or fitness or really any goal, is just getting up and starting that new habit and keeping it there. Because then eventually it'll be something you just do, as far as staying focused or just staying in the habits of whether it's meal prepping or exercise or whatever it is you want to accomplish. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Kind of a good way to look at it. Yeah, it takes off the pressure, and it's a slight mindset shift that way of like, oh my God, I have to be focused, or oh my God, like I have to dial in on this thing, when really it's just, I need to take the next step or take the first step. And then you get in the habit of that, and then you build on that. Cool.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, we've been going for about 45 minutes, which is pretty good. I actually was not expecting it to go this long. I didn't know how many people would show up. So I'm happy to have you all here. Even though I know you guys are probably doing a couple different things right now. But any more questions right now? Otherwise, I'll let you guys get back to your evening.
Not for me.
Okay. Brittany, Clarissa? I know they're listening as they're doing other things. Okay, cool.
All good here.
As always. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, all good here.
Perfect. Cool. Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, you guys know where to find me. If you have any more questions, feel free to message me, text me, however you want to communicate. Happy to answer any questions if you think of something later that we didn't cover. And hey, dude. See you playing baseball, or you just watch him?
Now say hi.
All right. Well, you guys enjoy your evening. You know where to find me. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. And yeah, hopefully we'll do another one of these. And if you guys have any more training topics or something you want me to cover, let me know. I'm always looking for more ideas too. If you have the question, I'm sure everybody else has a question too. So, all right. If you guys don't have anything, I'll say have a good night, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, you too.
See ya.
Bye.